She screamed, "You do nothing." So I left. A week later, karma hit hard. My mom lost it one night and yelled, "You do nothing for this family. Get out." So I grabbed my keys and walked out without saying a word. About a week later, my phone lit up. My brother was calling in a panic. "Why is the power off?" I didn't bother calling back. I just shot him a quick text, thought I didn't do anything. Then came the voicemails. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me back up a bit. But before I dive into all that, let me say this. I've noticed the channel's been slowing down a bit lately. If you're here and you like these stories, hitting that subscribe button is the easiest way to show support. It's fast, it's free, and it really helps keep this community growing strong. I'm 27, and for the past few years, I've been living at home with my mom and younger brother ever since our dad passed away 5 years ago. I worked full-time as an HVAC technician, picking up overtime whenever I could. I covered a good portion of the household expenses, paid the entire electric bill, the internet, bought groceries most weeks, and even handled my mom's car insurance. I didn't mind doing all that, especially in the beginning. We were family, and after losing Dad, I just wanted to step up and support them however I could. But slowly, things started to change. It felt like my mom stopped seeing me as her son and started treating me more like her live-in servant. No appreciation, no thank yous, just demands. Make dinner, mow the yard, drive my brother to his basketball games. Meanwhile, my 22-year-old brother Ethan didn't pay a dime in rent. He worked part-time at a vape shop, spent the rest of his time glued to video games, or out partying with his friends. And no matter what he did or didn't do, my mom never once raised her voice at him. If the trash wasn't taken out, that was somehow on me. If Ethan failed a class, it was because I hadn't been a good enough role model. Living in that house felt like I was constantly being blamed just for being there. Everything finally boiled over last Sunday. I came home after a brutal 10-hour shift, drenched in sweat and still wearing my work boots. Walked in to find Ethan sprawled on the couch with his headset on, gaming, surrounded by 3 empty fast food bags. And from the kitchen, my mom was yelling at me about the sink being full of dirty dishes. I calmly asked why Ethan couldn't do them. After all, he'd been home all day. That's when she snapped. She shouted, "You do nothing for this family. You walk in here like you own the place. You think paying a couple bills gives you the right to question me? Get out. Just get out." I stood there, stunned, hands shaking. I glanced over at Ethan, and he just shrugged and said, "You probably deserve it." Right then and there, I knew I was done. I didn't raise my voice. Didn't cry. I just walked upstairs, packed a duffel bag, grabbed my keys, and left. No dramatic scene. No door slamming. Just gone. I drove straight to my buddy Derek's place. He had a spare room and had always told me I was welcome if I ever needed a place. That first night, I just felt numb. The next morning, I started cutting ties. I canceled the electric account, shut down the Wi-Fi, and took my name off the grocery delivery subscription. My thinking was, if I truly did nothing for them, then they wouldn't even notice the difference, right? A whole week passed. Not a single call or text. Then, out of nowhere, my phone rang around 9:30 p.m. on a Thursday. Ethan's name popped up. I let it go to voicemail. He called again. And again. Finally, I listened to the message. "Bro, why the hell is the power out? I can't even charge my phone. Mom's freaking out. She thinks the fridge is broken. Call me back." All I did was text him back. Thought I didn't do anything. Then, silence. That is, until the voicemails started rolling in. The first one was from my mom, trying to sound calm. "Hey, I think there's something wrong with the electric bill. Can you check if the payment went through?" An hour later, her tone changed. She was more agitated. "You shut it off, didn't you? Are you serious right now? How childish can you be? Your brother's in the middle of finals and you pull a stunt like this." Then came the angry messages. "I raised you. I gave you everything. And this is how you repay me." And finally, the guilt trip started coming through in her voice, tired, emotional, and choked up. "I didn't mean what I said. I was just stressed. You know I didn't mean it like that. Please come home. We need you." I didn't reply. Not right away, at least. A part of me wanted to drive back, smooth everything over, and fall back into that familiar routine. But the bigger part, the one that remembered every slammed cabinet, every time I got blamed for something I didn't do, every time I was treated like nothing more than a paycheck, that part told me to stay exactly where I was. And to Derek's credit, he never once pushed me to talk about it. Derek gave me the space I needed. I started helping him out around his place, fixing stuff, doing small repairs, and for the first time in a long while, I actually felt appreciated. He even cooked dinner a few nights and practically forced me to sit down and take a break. That kind of kindness hit differently after everything I'd been through. Then, out of nowhere, I got a text from Ethan. No hello. No apology. Just, "Are you seriously going to let mom suffer like this?" That was all it said. And I lost it. I texted back. "I paid the electric bill every single month for 4 years. I bought the groceries, handled the insurance, cleaned up after both of you, and still got treated like I didn't matter. I walked out because I was tired of being treated like a servant. If someone wants to step up and say sorry, you know how to reach me. Until then, good luck. No reply. Not a word from either of them for the next couple days. Then I got a call from an unknown number. Let it roll to voicemail. Turned out it was my aunt. She said my mom had called her in tears, going on about how I'd abandoned the family and left them in the dark. My aunt gently asked if I could just cover the electric bill for one more month, just until they figured something out. I texted back simply, I'm sorry, but I'm not responsible for that house anymore. And that's when the tone changed. My mom started messaging me directly again. At first, she leaned heavy on guilt, told me I was being heartless, said Dad would be ashamed of how I was acting. That last part stung, I won't lie. But I reminded myself of the truth. Dad was the one who taught me what real respect looked like. He always said to stand your ground and never let anyone walk all over you. He wouldn't have wanted me to be someone's doormat. Then came the surprise I wasn't expecting. Ethan finally reached out again. Late one night, I got a text from him that just said, I'm sorry. I get it. You did a lot, and we didn't appreciate you. I almost dropped my phone. I just sat there staring at the screen for what felt like forever, reading it over and over. Was he being sincere? I had no clue, but it was something at least. I waited a whole day before replying. Thanks. That means more than you know. But I'm not coming back. Not yet. No response. Total silence. Meanwhile, I started piecing my own life back together. I moved some money into a savings account, started checking out apartment listings. Derek even suggested we split a place somewhere closer to both our jobs. Things were starting to look up, but the quiet didn't last. About a week after Ethan's apology, I got another voicemail, and this one was different. It wasn't full of anger, and it wasn't laced with guilt. It was desperate. My mom's voice was shaky, worn out. I lost my job. I can't afford the rent. The fridge is still broken. And now the car won't start. I don't know what to do. Please, just talk to me. I didn't know how to feel. Part of me felt vindicated. Like, yeah, this was the reality when I stopped holding everything together. But another part of me, some deeper, quieter part that still felt like a son, felt a pang of guilt. Then I reminded myself, I didn't create this mess. I just stopped cleaning it up. I played that voicemail twice. Then a third time. I didn't delete it. I just let it sit there. And for the first time in a long while, I felt like I had control over my own life again. But just when I thought the dust might settle, a second voicemail came in, and that one flipped everything upside down. It wasn't from my mom. It was from someone I hadn't heard from in over 2 years, my cousin Caleb. Hey, man, I don't want to get in the middle of anything, but I just talked to your mom. She told me you abandoned her after everything she's done for you. Said you shut off the power and left her and Ethan to struggle. But something about that didn't sit right with me. I remembered how much you used to help out. So I figured I'd reach out and hear your side. Call me if you want. That message hit me in a weird place. Caleb was one of the only people in the family who'd ever really seen me, not as some problem solver or fixer, but just as me. We were close growing up. He knew my parents well. So if he was reaching out now, it meant Mom had officially started spinning her version of the story to the rest of the family. I called him back. We ended up talking for over an hour. I laid it all out, how I'd been paying bills, doing the chores, holding everything together while Ethan coasted by without a care. How Mom's gratitude slowly faded until I felt like nothing more than hired help. How? Caleb asked quietly. I didn't hesitate. The final straw was when she screamed at me to get out. After everything I'd done, years of sacrificing, holding it all together, that's how it ended. Caleb didn't say anything for a while. Just this long pause on the other end. Then finally, he said, Man, I'm really sorry. I had no idea it was like that. She made it sound like you just flipped out and walked away for no reason. But you didn't. You deserve way better. That moment of validation almost broke me. After spending so long second-guessing myself, wondering if I'd been too dramatic, too selfish, hearing someone actually see what I went through felt like finally coming up for air. A few quiet days passed. No calls. No text from Mom or Ethan. And honestly, I was starting to get used to the silence. I'd found an apartment, small, nothing fancy, but clean and, most importantly, mine. I signed the lease, started moving stuff in. Derek even showed up with a couple folding chairs and a mini fridge as a housewarming gift. It wasn't much, but it made the place feel a little more like home. Then late one night, I heard a knock at the door. It was Ethan. He looked wrecked, pale, worn down, deep bags under his eyes. He was clutching his phone like it was glued to his hand, like he'd been staring at it for hours. I wasn't sure if I should shut the door or ask if he was okay. Before I could even speak, he said, I'm not here to fight. I just wanted to say thanks. I raised an eyebrow. For what? For everything you did, he said. I didn't get it before. Mom kept saying you were trying to control everything, that you just wanted things your way. But now that I've had to step in and do even half of what you used to handle, dude, it's a lot. I stepped aside and let him in. We sat on the 2 folding chairs in my little kitchen, both of us awkward, unsure. He told me things had gone downhill fast after I left. Mom burned through most of her savings trying to keep the house afloat. But without my paycheck, they couldn't keep up with the rent or utilities. She tried to pick up more shifts, but then she got laid off. Ethan said he was working 2 jobs just to scrape by. Even had to sell his gaming PC, the one he used to glue himself to while I cooked dinner and folded laundry in the background. That irony wasn't lost on either of us. I told him I appreciated the apology, but I wasn't going back. Not to that house, and not to the version of our family that had let me drown. He nodded slowly. Honestly, I don't blame you. Then he paused, like something was still sitting heavy on his chest. But Mom's not doing great. I think she's depressed. She cries a lot. Barely eats. I think she feels like she lost everything. I swallowed hard. That guilt crept back in, not because I caused it, but because I'd stepped away from it. Still, I reminded myself that all I ever wanted was to be respected, to be seen. Before Ethan left, he turned to me and said, "She's still your mom. But I get it. If you can't forgive what she said." And then he was gone. I just sat there after that. The apartment felt colder than usual. I didn't sleep much that night. The next morning, I played that old voicemail again, the one where Mom's voice cracked, where she admitted everything was falling apart. I didn't owe her anything, not really. But maybe I owed myself some peace. So I called her. She picked up on the second ring. I could hear the shock in her voice. "Hi. I didn't think you'd call." I didn't say anything right away. Just let the silence hang between us. Then she spoke, soft and unsure. "I'm sorry. For everything. I was angry and overwhelmed, and I took it out on you. I kept telling myself you were just being difficult," she said quietly. "But the truth is, I was the one being unfair." I let that sit for a moment before responding. "You didn't just hurt me with the things you said, Mom. You ignored everything I did. You made me feel invisible. That kind of pain doesn't just disappear overnight." "I know," she whispered. I miss you. And I wish I had appreciated you more while you were still here." I told her I wasn't coming back, that my life had already started moving forward without them. But I also said I hoped she got better. That maybe this was her wake-up call. That she needed to start treating people, including her own son, with the kind of respect she always expected in return. She cried. I didn't. I think I'd finally run out of tears. We ended the call on neutral ground. No warm goodbyes, no promises to visit for Thanksgiving. Just 2 people who'd hurt each other, acknowledging it, and accepting there was a long road between where we were and anything close to healed. Weeks passed. I settled into my apartment. It was small, but it was mine. I finally had a weekend where I didn't have to fix anything, cook for anyone, or worry about whether the power bill got paid. I bought a plant. I started cooking for myself, not for 3 people who barely noticed. I went out with Derek and a couple coworkers and laughed harder than I had in years. Then one afternoon, Ethan texted me. Just a picture. It was a job offer, full-time, with benefits. A real position, not just another temp gig. He'd finally found something solid. I sent back a simple thumbs up. A few seconds later, he replied with a heart emoji. I guess that was his way of saying thank you again. And Mom? She started therapy. Caleb told me she was trying slowly, cautiously, but trying. She didn't reach out much, and I didn't either. It felt like we had an unspoken agreement. We both needed space. Growth was happening, but on separate paths. As for me, I finally felt like my life was mine. No more being the background character keeping everything afloat for everyone else. No more late-night voicemails that started with desperation and ended in guilt. I wasn't the fixer anymore. I wasn't the forgotten one, the silent supporter, the emotional crutch. I walked away when no one believed I would. And the world didn't fall apart. Actually, for the first time in a long time, it finally began.